Rick Tocchet's name has been tied to the Flyers job. That there are people who believe that Rick Tocchet could ultimately end up becoming the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. And you might think to yourself, well, how could you do that if he's under contract with Vancouver? Well, Vancouver is not firing him. And Vancouver has a team option on Rick Tocchet for next season. And so we've been kind of sitting back wondering, will they exercise that team option? Now, in fairness, that would be the last year of his deal, and it kind of puts you in a spot where you have a potential lame duck head coach situation. Not exactly ideal. Well, my friends, Canucks GM Jim Rutherford spoke to the media today about Rick Tocchet. So we're going to go over to Toc really quick. Because again, were they going to pick up the option? Were they not? Is it possible that he could end up back with Vancouver? Could they negotiate a new contract? Could Tocchet look to leave? Could he look to, represent the orange and black? Let's go over, hear what Vancouver had to say, and about whether or not they believe that long-term they could work something out with Rick Tocchet. Let's go over there first. Here we go. Vancouver. Lovely place, I hear.
The one doing the contract, and I know that like every year or all during the year, there's always issues being talked about what the coaches want the general manager to get for them and how he wants to play and all that. I believe that communication's been good this year, and it's even been better since the season's ended because I've actually sat in a couple of those meetings, and it's been a really good dialogue, okay? We will not exercise the team option for him to stay.
Wow.
We don't feel it's right to have somebody here that may have his mind somewhere else.
Oh!
And I'd say that about anybody. This is not just about Toc.
Oh!
But we believe that, and I believe that Toc and his coaching staff did as good a job coaching this team this year as they did the year before when he was coach of the year. Now, he was dealt a totally different hand this year. When the team won the division, it was a lot of good work by him, a lot of good work by the players, but everything went right. This year, we've talked enough about, the incident that happened and affected the chemistry of the room and affected the play of the team in the first half. And
which many consider to be a falling out between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller.
Forced to trade. But with all that going on, how he handled the situation and how he handled the team was really good. So I give him and his staff kudos for the job they did this year. As for his contract, we've gone through a process.
Okay, I'm going to let this wrap up, but there are like two concerning things I've heard in here, and this is why I'm going to voice a little bit of concern. Okay.
We've negotiated. I would suspect sometime this week he'll have a decision. We have gone a long ways from where coaches have been compensated with the Canucks for years, forever actually, and we're hoping that he takes that contract and stays.
All right, so here's the TLDR version of what we just heard from Jim Rutherford of the Vancouver Canucks. They want to bring him back. They were not going to exercise his option and hold him to a lame duck contract for a single year. He notes, we don't want to do that to somebody whose mind may be somewhere else, which is like very much, they clearly think that he may have an eye on Philadelphia, or maybe there's another opening, but Philadelphia would kind of make a lot of sense. He's good friends with Keith Jones. There's a relationship between Tocchet and the Flyers. If you wanted one of those with the big eyes like bugging out in a cartoon, saying that we're not going to pick up the team option on the head coach because his mind may be somewhere else is pretty freaking wild, and would seem to indicate that they know there's a possibility that he could end up somewhere else. But then Rutherford says, we've gone to a place with this negotiation with compensation that Vancouver has never gone to before. So now if you're a Canucks fan, and let's say you're a Canucks fan and you really like Rick Tocchet, and you say, all right, what are you guys doing to keep him? What are you doing to keep him in town? Now you have the organization saying, we're willing to spend more on this guy than we've ever spent on a head coach in the history of our team. Does that get you excited if you're a Canucks fan? I have no idea. But I'll tell you what, there are a few names that have been kind of floated as being potential candidates from the Flyers. We'll go back to Danny Briere's end of season press conference where he very clearly stated that he doesn't view that this next season is going to be that of what we've seen in the rebuild of, kind of getting rid of some talent. Now he's talking about adding. And in the midst of trying to add, you would think that, listen, they're not hiring David Carl. Like, just get that out of your head. If you're hoping that David Carl is going to leave Denver, leave a job that he really likes in the college ranks to come to Philadelphia, it's not happening. I have heard that, if he were going to move, uproot his family, that maybe the Rangers job is something that could be interesting. This is before Laviolette got fired. I still think it's more likely than not that he stays where he is. If anything, maybe he relocates to somewhere that's like closer to Denver, but I don't see Dave Carl leaving the college ranks to just go anywhere, and anywhere would include the Flyers. It doesn't make any sense for him to come here. I don't think it does. So then you're like, all right, there's the Western Michigan coach who has a relationship with some players, and including a bump. And you go, all right, so you've got that. Do you hire that guy? I think he's 54. Do you hire a guy from the collegiate ranks to come in here? You don't use the Dave Hackstall thing not working out as reason to not look at a college coach. But like that to me is a little bit of a concern, like you're all right, so you have one guy that you're maybe considering from the college ranks. You would assume that there's somebody out there in the league that is an established head coach because this league hires a lot of retreads every year. Guys just bounce from one team to another. You would think that there might be one or two of those guys. And then you have Rick Tocchet. I hypothesize that maybe if Carolina gets bounced from the playoffs early and Brendan Moore mouths off about the Rantanen thing falling apart, that maybe that leads to some kind of something where he departs Carolina. But I don't really think that's going to happen. So you kind of put that one off to the side and say, all right, unlikely that that's going to be the case. Tocchet kind of fits the bill. There's a relationship there. And now you have the front office executive of another team saying, we're trying to pay him more money than we've ever paid to a coach before, but his mind may be somewhere else. That very, very clearly tells me that Tocchet has his eyes elsewhere, and that elsewhere probably starts with a PH and ends in Philadelphia. So if you like that idea, you're very happy right now. And if not, that would seem to confirm that there could at least be an interview coming for Rick Tocchet. And the idea that he's going to have a decision made by the end of the week, that decision is presumably take this contract or he's out as coach in Vancouver. I don't know. Do I love it? No. Do I really care? I'm not exactly sure. It just feels like there's too much smoke to the Rick Tocchet fire right now, the Rick Tocchet to Philadelphia fire, for us to kind of pass that one over.